Can you explain a little bit about the network as well? Because we have...
The
So
network.
Miguel wasn't here this
Okay.
morning, and Paulo wasn't here this morning.
It's your network.
Now it's your turn.
Oh, blimey.
They have no idea. They have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, the network, what we did yesterday?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll help. I'll help.
Good. There's, I guess, Marta's trying to construct.
I'm not. We are.
You've invited us to
Yeah.
come together, to work together, to create a European network of curators, art centres, whoever you've pulled together to date, and that seems to be roughly the territory.
Whoever. That's
Of people who are supporting the development of the practice of the coming together, the conversation between art and science. I think that's a thin, infra-thin summary. Yeah. And I hope it's going to work. I think.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah. One of the things that strikes me, and I kind of think there are good guys and bad guys, but they're in both camps. You know, there are good and bad artists, and there are some scientists who I think might be doing some bad things, and some who are probably doing some good things. I think there are good and bad people, and you find them in every area of life. One of the things that strikes me, though, is that a lot of the time it seems to me that I'm interested in this idea of contemporary thought and post-contemporary culture and how they might come together. And in the conversation that's happening now between different disciplines, presumably that's a component of contemporary
Culture.
Contemporary thought, contemporary culture. But it seems to me that a lot of the conversations that artists have in the art science area with scientists are really a knowledge transfer rather than a knowledge exchange. It feels like it's maybe one-way traffic in a lot of the time, rather than a two-way, a dialogue, something that can turn into a conversation or exchange. Is that your perception as well? Sorry, yeah, okay. So I mean, I just wonder what contemporary thought, contemporary thinking can add to facilitate, maybe.
Yes, but I think that the problem is that when we invite artists which are not acquainted to those materials, the process is a monologue. It's very difficult to explain a contemporary artist the function of the machine. Yeah, the function of the machine, yes. And they don't care, they just don't care. Mm-hmm.
May I make a few points to Miguel? First, moral questions. The moral issue is actually a very important one to my mind, and precisely because 20th century was basically about emptying, make reality void of morals, moral questions, all the abstraction, all the defiguration. I mean, if I have a very clear picture of 20th century art, which is a defiguration process and it is an abstraction process, and both process goes towards amoral art. And there is no such thing as amoral art, because art has always been about moral issues, actually about a vision of the world and a vision of the meaning of humanity and the meaning of the relation between humanity and the rest of the world. So if you step out of this, you go straight away into capitalist theory of value. Precisely what capitalism has developed along all the 20th century is precisely the idea that there is no ethics, there is no morals, there is only form, and an abstract form. And that's why abstract art is specifically the art of capitalism in the 20th century, because there is no figuration, there is no morals, there is no narrative. There is no good and bad. It's all neutral. Okay? This is the first point. So I'm a moralist in that sense, and I think we have to reintroduce morals in our society. I don't know if we have time enough, but I still think that we should do it. The other thing is in relation to the fact that artists are working with science and technology. You mentioned that web art was a failure, but you were the same person that said Anthony Abad is developing a very interesting project and 100% based on web. So, I mean, it's not true. Web is a crucial technology worldwide. I mean, nobody can live anymore without the web. I mean, in most of societies. And you cannot imagine anymore being without your computer connected to your emails and all, whatsoever. I mean, all things change from then. But of course, 10 years is an adaptation period. And of course, there are always artists that get fascinated with technology. There are always mediocre artists that when they see something new, they, well, that's my my new phase, but I'm going to that direction, I'm going to present something new, and then I'm a good artist. Of course, nobody is naive anymore, and we know that that is not the case. But when you talk about Rauschenberg is precisely the example. If you see BIOS 4, I made a kind of a little history about techno art, and I went back to precisely to the experiment in art and technology, the EAT group, which were built up in 68, 67, 68, 69. It was precisely the first and most important experience of interaction between artists and science and technology in the United States. I mean, it were Rauschenberg and Jasper Johns were already very wealthy artists, and they actually sponsored the relationship. I mean, to younger artists to start working and trying to do something with technologies and science people. So it was the first experiment. And it's interesting, the fact that only 30 years after, technology is going to be inbuilt in the art process. It's now, you know why? Because it's only now that young kids start incorporating technology in their daily life. It's only after that that the coming art generation, technology is not going to be a problem anymore. I mean, it's not an issue anymore. I mean, you are naturally technologist, and the second thing, you are naturally cognitive. You know why? Because we live inside a technosphere and we live inside a cognosphere, very intense cognosphere. That means that if you are not able to hack science, if you're not able to hack technology, you cannot understand what's going on. And understanding what's going on has always been part of art creativity. I mean, if you are if you are a real good artist, you have to understand what's going on. And so you have to go inside knowledge. And you don't need to go to university to do that, because knowledge and technology is becoming like the water and the electricity of contemporary societies. And that I would like to say that we are living now is a transitional period. And that's why I put it in terms a little bit Clausewitz, strategic fighting way. I mean, I think that we have to push contemporary art museums so that they understand that things are shifting, and they have to adapt to a new generation of artists and also to a new generation of public. And of course, we have to change the architecture of the museum. We have to change the concept of exhibition. We have to put much more strength on processes, on collaborations, on open structures, like when Anthony Abad or any artist that work with from the web. I mean, it doesn't make much sense to put that work in a museum, in a room, in a screen. I mean, this is no. It doesn't make. Of course, in a museum you can what you can do is to show documentation, but you can also sponsor the project, you can help the project, you can give the means, you can, that's what the museum can do. And that's different from just buying paintings and sculptures and showing them in a room. So something is changing, but we need to push, because there is a very conservative alliance between contemporary art museums and, the banks, the insurance companies, all the trash of capitalism, of late and bankrupt capitalism.